So it's about time I get the Matrix Resurrections review out here on the internet. All right, so this movie has been pretty divisive for many people. And usually people go into this either hating it or loving it. And my experience was kind of interesting. I was able to see this at home. I actually get a better experience at home when it's streaming. So as long as HBO Max is doing that, I'm going to watch it at home. And then if I like it, I'll go back to the movies. I think this is going to be a one-time watch for me. I will probably pick it up to complete my Matrix, collection. But this movie was very, very interesting. I had the chance to watch the first 30 minutes early in the morning, the day that it was released. And I ended up getting sidetracked. I had to take care of something. And I hated the first 30 minutes. I'm telling you right now, complete garbage. The acting was terrible. The storyline seemed pretty pretentious. And it reminded me a lot of Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where that movie took place in the real world, and you had Robert Englund in it as Robert Englund. You had, I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, playing Nancy. This was kind of a similar type of thing, but not exactly. And I'm going to make this as spoiler-free as possible. And at the end, I'll talk about a few spoilers and some of the things I did not like. But after the first 30 minutes, I was thoroughly disgusted at what I was watching. And I'm like, I can't believe that they turned this into a movie and they expect people to pay for it. So I ended up going back and finishing it, watching it in whole later that day. And here are my feelings on this. The acting was the way it was at the beginning for a reason. I think it was way too theatrical, and I would have toned it down, because I will tell you that in the original Matrix, that the real people did not act like fake people. They acted like real people. And so I don't understand why they went the route that they did with the acting in this movie, but I did not enjoy the first half an hour, and it is a setup for the rest. As a whole, here's my bottom line review on this, and then I'm going to talk about, when I talk about the stuff I didn't like and what I did like, there's going to be some spoiler stuff in there. But let's talk about what was really good about this movie. It had a stellar story. Now, I was convinced that the story was going to be crap after the first 30 minutes, but the story actually ended up being really, really good, and I was impressed with it. For it being the fourth Matrix movie, and to bring back, someone like Trinity and Neo, there had to be a purpose behind it, and I needed some answers to make this work. And luckily, I got all the answers I needed, and then some. So I will tell you that the storyline was the saving grace in this movie, because I will tell you that this was horribly directed. We can tell which of the Wachowskis was the talented one, because that the talented sibling was not in charge of this movie. And I just felt like the style was very generic. If this movie would have had the exact same look and feel of the first movie and the style that they used, this movie would have been a 5-star film. But unfortunately, it had a very generic, disjointed feel to it. There was no style to it at all. It looked like it wanted to use some of the feel of the original, but not quite get there. And then it did its own thing, and I was very confused at the style and what they were trying to go for visually. So I thought this was a huge miss. It was a huge miss with the look and the feel. The story was good. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 stars. I want to give it more, but I can't, because it totally missed the mark when it comes to bringing in the feel of the original movie and making it feel like it's connected. It is definitely connected in all sorts of ways. So if you want to stick around, well, first of all, I do want to talk about one actor in the film. She did a fantastic job. And I really wish that the rest of the actors would have been in a similar type fashion, which was Jessica Henwick. Oh my gosh, this girl can act. This girl is incredible. She was in Iron Fist, and this is where I first saw her. And I was getting, when I saw her in The Matrix, I was like, wow, where do I know her from? And so I pulled up IMDb and I saw that she was in Iron Fist, and she was phenomenal in Iron Fist as well. She is a really good actress. She was the only good actress in the whole thing. Everybody else seemed like they were just kind of not even dialing it in properly. Like I said, they totally missed the mark on the look and the feel, but the story itself was phenomenal. So here's where I'm going to get into some spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled by the movie, you can leave now, but I'm assuming most people have seen it by now. So if you're continuing on, great. If not, I understand. Come back when you've actually seen the film and you want to hear a little bit more about it. All right. Like I said, the first 30 minutes, I was getting real worried that they were pulling this, we're redoing the whole Matrix over again, and the acting was terrible, and that they were just starting over. And luckily, they're not starting over. This was a direct continuation of the other films. But here's my issue with this. Morpheus was in it. You had also Agent Smith was in it. And these characters were interesting. So with this taking place, the movie actually takes place, I think, 60 years after the original. After the third film. So this is 60 years later, and time has passed, and they did bring back Neo, and they did bring back Trinity. They were able to resurrect both of them and put them back into the Matrix. And they did age they aged much slower, obviously, than the other people. And here's where the problem lies in this. They had direct connections with characters in the other films. Morpheus, Agent Smith. And honestly, Agent Smith was always played by Hugo Weaving and was never a real person. So why couldn't they use Hugo Weaving? Agent Smith is in it again as Agent Smith, but they have another guy playing him. And all I could ever think of when I saw this was this comedian. I can't remember his name. I do this with people's names all the time. He was a comedian on one of the comedy networks, and he had his own half-an-hour program. Really crass guy. Really funny, but extremely crass. And all I could see was him every time I saw this guy who was playing Agent Smith. Didn't act like him, didn't look like him, never got the feel that it was Agent Smith. And with Agent Smith being a program, they could have brought Hugo Weaving back to play the character. That also leads us to Morpheus. Morpheus is dead after 60 years. So why not use... In the movie, he's a computer program. He's not real. He's strictly a computer program. So why not bring Lawrence Fishburne back? They totally missed the mark when they should have nailed this. I mean, this should have been a home run for them. They had all the parts were there. But what they decided to do with those parts gave it a very disjointed feel to it. Another thing that really irritated me was Jada Pinkett Smith was in it again, and her makeup, oh my gosh, was it bad. There was things like what they did with her makeup totally take you out of the movie. There are things, I always talk about how a movie can, even if it's not a good movie, as long as they don't betray themselves through what you're seeing, you can make it to the end and still have a decent experience. But my gosh, that makeup was bad. She did not look like she was 60 years old, or it looked like makeup. Like I said, the look and the feel of this movie was just completely off the mark. They had an incredible story, but just did not execute it very well. I'd like to hear other people's thoughts. If you saw the film, what did you think? I usually people love it or hate it. I'm right in the middle. I really wanted to love this, but it never reached that level that it should have and could have and easily should have been. I just don't understand why these directors and these filmmakers make some of the decisions that they make. But it's still worthy of seeing. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Make up your own mind. But there's my review. Again, I give 3 out of 5 stars on the film simply because they just could not get the feel back. And I really wish they could have. We'll see you guys very soon. I got a couple of movie reviews coming up, and we'll see you guys on the next one.